All right, compensation plans. Tell me, what makes a compensation plan a good compensation plan?
Jensen Consulting.
Other than that, what do you think? It's not a trick question.
Easy to understand.
Yeah, good, good. What else?
Duplicatable.
Yeah, duplicatable. What else?
Sustainable.
Sustainable. That's right. Instead of up, hero to zero, we are able to move things up. All those things are right. One of the things that before we ever start designing a compensation plan for a company, we spend a couple of weeks studying the company. There's a business walkthrough process. We literally call it that. There's some financial analytics we do, but particularly we dive into what makes them tick. What do they want to be when they grow up? Because we've learned that one of the most important factors in designing a compensation plan is that the plan must be in perfect alignment, harmony, with what the company wants to be. If you look out in the world of direct selling, you see companies like Avon and Amway, Herbalife and Nu Skin, Pampered Chef and Beauty Control and many, many others, Tupperware. Have you learned that all these companies use different compensation plans? Every billion-dollar direct selling company has a different plan. Now, there are elements that all the plans have in common. There are elements that many of the plans have in common, other elements. But they all have a different plan. So here's an interesting question. Amway is now the biggest direct selling company in the world. They've broken $12 billion. I suspect in a couple of years they'll hit about 15. China represents more than half of their revenue. Why doesn't everybody just use the Amway plan? If we use the Amway plan for Avon, would it work well? No. Avon would collapse because that plan doesn't align with who Avon is and how their sales force is trained to work. Wouldn't work. How about if we took the Mona V plan and said to Nu Skin, well, you should use this plan instead? Would it work for Nu Skin or vice versa? No, because the plans are not aligned with those companies. So lesson number one, when you design a compensation plan, it must fit the company perfectly. Lesson number two, never use somebody else's compensation plan. It'd be kind of like going to the eye doctor and you show up for your appointment, you sit down in the chair, and he says, I am so sorry, my diagnostic machine today is broken. The repair guy is not going to be here till tomorrow. So I tell you what, these glasses that I've been using for 5 years, they've really served me well. I'm just going to loan them to you. And you don't know if the guy is nearsighted, farsighted, blind in one eye, or what. But it's not going to work. My glasses are different than your glasses. My comp plan is different than your comp plan. That's how it works. So what we did in creating this comp plan is figure out with Duncan and the team, who do we want to be when we grow up? And then we created a sustainable plan that's easy to teach that aligns with that. That's the big picture. So let's dive in. There are 4 primary elements to this plan. Now, all compensation plans out there have different components. We have 4 different groupings of components: personal sales, organizational sales, generation commissions, which are leadership kinds of commissions, and legacy bonuses. So we're going to talk about each of these. We're going to walk through kind of a process and start at the very beginning. The first one is that of personal sales. Statistically, when 100 people join any company, pick a company. We'll just pick on Nu Skin for a minute. 100 people join Nu Skin. In the first 90 days, statistically, on the average, 80 will sponsor precisely no one. 20 will sponsor one or more in the first 3 months. So the problem that many companies have is helping distributors, members in our case we call them, come into the business and have some taste of success. But if 80 out of 100 don't even get out of the starting gate, that's a serious headwind, isn't it, to work against? So what do we do about that? Well, we study different companies and we learn, for example, that party plan companies, which we're not, have twice the retention rate that non-party plans companies have. Huh. We figured that out about 10 years ago. So why is that? Well, we studied it. You know what we found? That customers are the difference. If we were to join, pick a company, Pampered Chef, they sell kitchenware, right? Anyone bought any Pampered Chef stuff? Good stuff, isn't it? I've got a kitchen full of it. It's great. So the Pampered Chef kitchen consultant is going to go talk to some friends about being a hostess for her, inviting their friends into their homes for prepare a meal using Pampered Chef gear. They'll use garlic presses, pots, pans, cutlery, graters, oven mitts, everything. And they will use all this stuff, and everyone will chip in to some time and effort to prepare the meal together. It's a group cooking experience, and that's a key thing. It's an experience. The average Pampered Chef consultant will walk away from that party, that kitchen show, with $200 or more in her pocket. Now, she'll spend usually a minimum of total time, about 4 hours on that, 4 to 4.5. This is typical of party plan. I'm not disclosing anything unique. I'm just using industry general numbers here, not just, they're not specific to Pampered Chef. But she is making, at a minimum, $50 an hour. Now, how many friends do you know that would walk away from a part-time job that is fun to do in your spare time for $50 an hour? Not many. If it's fun, $50 an hour, spare time, part-time, sign me up, right? That's how that model works, and that's why the retention rate is higher. Now, how does that relate to us? We're not party plan, never will be. That doesn't work with us. But what does work with us is what we call generically a subscription model, meaning people sign up to give, to buy every month. This is one of the most successful models in the world in direct selling. Newskin 10 years ago reported in their public statements 42% of their $1.1 billion of revenue was coming in from auto ship. 6 months ago, the annual revenues hit $4 billion, and they reported 52% of that revenue was coming from auto ship. Public numbers. Do you think the increase, the 20% increase, 25% increase in auto ship adoption and retention had anything to do with that growth? Yes, it's magnified. It's not a linear growth issue. It's an exponential growth issue. We have the same opportunity. We have the opportunity to create a subscription model where people sign up to purchase every month child-saving products that make a difference, big difference in the lives of hundreds of kids, eventually thousands of kids, eventually millions of kids. So personal sales is where that happens. Statistically, we can get 4 or 5 customers for each distributor or member that signs up. Why? Because the customer has one motivation only. It's the value proposition. I pay X, I get Y. That's it. The value proposition. In our case, that value proposition is very unique, isn't it? I pay X, could be 20 or 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 or 200 or whatever. And what I'm doing is making a difference in the lives of kids. Lots of kids. every month. That's what we do. And so in the personal sales side of the compensation plan, we pay a commission of 10% for every child-saving product that is purchased or sold by a member. So if I have 3 customers, each of whom are buying 5 child-saving products, how much is a child-saving product? So $20 a month. So 5 times 20 is 100. So 100, 100, 100. I have $300 worth of child-saving products. 5, 5, and 5 is 15 points. A personal sales volume point is 1 child-saving product. Is that complicated? I don't know how you can make it simpler. 1 equals 1. Although it's worth 20, I get that, okay. So you get 10% commission for the first, for when your monthly personal volume is 50 or less. So I have my 3 customers. They each buy 5. That's 15. Next month I get 2 more customers. They each buy 5. That's now 25. You see how that works. As I continue to expand my business, I will continue to expand my personal sales volume. If I keep working, my 50 points goes to 51 or to 100, and I get 12%. I get a raise. Not just on the amounts above 50, but on all of it. So I either get 10 on all of it, or 12 on all of it, or if I have 101 or more, I get 15% on all of it, every month. So if I had 101 personal sales volume points, multiply that times 20, that's $2,000 and change, I am going to get 15% or a $300 commission every month. Just on that, and I haven't recruited 1 member yet, right? So we're going to have people that really don't want to do an MLM business. They just want to evangelize the opportunity. I encourage you to embrace them. Building a team is not a condition of participating in Hidden Hunger Global. That's not the case with some other MLM companies out there. You got to build a team to make any money. Not here. We want you to build a team. There's a constant reward system set up to say, hey, there's another side to this business other than finding customers. But if you only want to find customers, knock yourself out. That's your deal. Go for it. We're good with that. Go build volume. There's a little formula. If you're taking some notes, write this little formula down. It's very complicated, so I'll give it to you slowly. Ready? V equals C. No, it's not complicated. V equals C. Volume equals commissions. High volume, high commission. Low volume, low commission. That's how the comp plan works. Any questions? It's pretty much that right there. So volume is what determines a leader's check every month more than any other part of the comp plan. Whether you make 10% on $100,000 or 12% on $100,000, there's a little bit of difference. But if that $100,000 becomes $200,000, it honestly doesn't make much of a difference whether it's 10 or 12. That has minimal impact. It's the volume that creates the impact. You want to double your check? Double your volume. Really simple. V equals C. So, where does that start? Right here. If you build a ginormous team, my daughter Esther has 5,000 people in her downline at Sensi. If none of them sold anything, how much would she make? Exactly. V equals C. So years ago, there was a basket company. They're still Lonerberger Baskets. Ever heard of them? Yeah? Were you one?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Were you with them in 2000? Year 2000? Okay. In the year 2000, Loneberger Baskets sold $1 billion worth of baskets.
Wow.
They are great baskets. That's a lot of baskets. 50,000 reps sold $1 billion worth of baskets. That's an average personal selling volume of $20,000 per year, per person. V equals C. Mona V, you heard of Mona V, acai berry juice. About 1 million people at the peak of their business. It was 800,000 or so. In 2010, they sold $880 million worth of juice. That's $880 a year, not 20,000. Different business model, different comp plans, whole different way of doing it. V equals C. So, personal selling. So we're all about having a member come in who becomes an associate, you'll see that in a second, and finding customers. That's where you start. So that's not complicated, is it? If somebody says, I love this, I love what you're all about, how can I be involved? The answer is become a member and share this opportunity with others to become customers. As you do that, you will probably find others who want a part-time income also. And that's where the rest of the plan comes in. Make sense? Questions? Pretty simple, isn't it, so far? Yeah. Okay, let's pick up the pace. Now, there's an organizational sales concept here, where if this is you as a member, the comp plan begins, doesn't end, it begins with a concept of paying 3 levels deep. Now, what's a level? So the tables here on the front we'll assume is my level 1. That's where my personal recruits would sit. So you're all my personal recruits. Your personal recruits sit right in back of you, the second row of tables. Your personal recruits on the second row sit right in back of you on the third row. Level 1, level 2, level 3. You can explain that on a napkin. This concept that's called a unilevel is used in probably 60 to 70% of the compensation plans out there. It might even be 70 to 80 now. It is a trending process in our world of direct selling globally. Amway doesn't use that. They use a different technique, but many Amway people wish they would use it. Avon uses it. Nu Skin uses it. Most of the party plan companies use it. Why? Because there is no ability to earn less when somebody below you does more. We call that blocking. No blocking. So there's nothing but good when somebody below you does better. Now there's an interesting concept, right? That's how this works. If somebody could be at a higher title than you, they're a rocket ship, and you're the turtle just kind of moseying down the lane, and they're a rabbit moving faster. Happy day, because you're going to benefit from that. There's no blocking. You cannot earn less in this plan because somebody does better than you. That's a beautiful part of it, right? Okay. So, organizational sales simply is that. When you sponsor others, you can earn on their sales through 3 levels. Okay. And you're going to get a printout of this, by the way. When, Duncan?
It'll be online.
Okay, perfect. Legacy bonuses. This is, and we're going to talk, by the way, we're going to talk more of this in a minute. This is kind of an overview. Legacy bonuses include 3 bonuses we're going to talk about specifically. An impact bonus that provides an additional percentage on your new recruits. Why? Because we want you to mentor and coach them in their first 90 days. Out of 100 people that join in January, the industry statistics tell us that 20 will be with us in December. Now, the good news is that we can do better. Almost all of my clients do better because we build into the comp plans best practices for retention. I have a few clients that have hit as high as an 80% retention rate over a 12-month period. Unbelievable, off the charts. In every case, one of the biggest factors that drives that is how much their people are earning for every hour they spend in the business. And it's, in their case, $70 to $80. For a new person, in both cases, it's two cases I think of, they were party plan companies doing parties, big parties making a boatload of money. So, in point is, retention of new recruits depends enormously on how well the sponsor coaches and mentors them. Now it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. When a sponsor is out there recruiting, let's suppose one person a week, 50 people a year, often it's a churn machine, just throwing mud at the wall and hoping that something sticks. Those business models collapse. If you're taking notes, write this down. The number one factor that will lead to your sustaining your business is one word: competency. The synonym is skill. Not your skill, their skill. The more you can lift up the competency of your team members, the more sustainable your business will be. It's not about getting them excited. That lasts for a little while, but soon burns off, especially when the storm clouds of discouragement descend. You can't keep a person excited when they've had 10 no's in a row. But a competent person will keep working. That's the person who, when they're smacked down, they get back up again because they know that their competency will get them through that tough time, right? You look back at your lives. If you're like me, you know that's true. Competency is what creates a sustainable business. So, where do we get competency? Here's another secret. It isn't from the comp plan. The comp plan will deliver precisely zero competency. What the comp plan does is it makes people hungry to get competency. Right? They want to go to the well and drink. You're at the well, and you're going to give them water. You're going to coach them and mentor them and train them and help them. And yes, you're going to give them a shoulder to cry on, and you're going to help them to set goals. You are going to be their advocate, the advocate of their why. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. But the impact bonus is all about the sponsor engaging with that new recruit to help them succeed. An extra 5% in the first 3 months of that new recruit. I'll talk more of that in a second. The advancement bonus. When you get to what's called a senior director, which you haven't seen yet, we're going to give that person who gets there $500. It's an achievement worth celebrating. You're going to see that in a minute. There's a matching $500 bonus that goes to their upline coach and mentor also. And then there's a mission bonus that provides another 2%. These are some additional bonuses that, like laser beams, focus on rewarding people for doing things right. That's in addition to everything else. So again, this is the overview. So yes, there's questions. You don't understand those yet. I'll get to them. The career path overview. We have 3 sections in the career path. Now, the career path, in a compensation plan, there's 2 major components to the plan. All plans do this. The career path, which represents a series of steps or levels of achievement. This is all about rewarding performance. And then there's the reward system. Do this, get that. That's how we design comp plans. That's how you reward your kids, right? I told those folks last night, my first comp plan ever written was for my 16-year-old son, Brian, who wanted to do precisely nothing. He wanted to be retired at the age of 16 and just live on dear old dad. I wasn't signing up for that program. So we said, Brian, now this was after some months of prodding, kicking, You know, we didn't raise our voices. That was a rule in our house. But we did everything we could to get Brian to do something. We went away on vacation once. He couldn't go because of other activities, so he stayed home. When we left, we had cooked barbecued ribs in the oven and left the broiler pan. We had to leave, you know, and it was soaking. Brian, would you please clean the broiler pan? Sure. We came back a week later. There was a stench in the house. The broiler pan was sitting right by the sink, just like we left it. And he had taken a fan, opened the window, and was pushing the air outside. It took him longer to do that than it would have to wash the darn pan. This was my 16-year-old. And if you don't have 16-year-olds yet, you're gonna. So we decided with Brian, no allowance. He didn't like that, but we had another solution. Post-it notes on the refrigerator. Take out the garbage, $1. Your room is clean, $5. Put the dishes away in the dishwasher, $1.50. We had like 12 different Post-it notes with things that he could do, each with $1 amount. And it was a real simple system. Brian, when you want some money, grab a Post-it note, do the job, bring us the Post-it note, we'll inspect the job and pay you then. Do this, get that. And it worked. I know. Exactly. You could have knocked me over with a feather. That has stayed with him through his entire life. He has an amazing work ethic now. Yeah. This is what leaders do, isn't it? They, like parents, they find out prayerfully what they can do to influence others to do the right thing. Changed his life. Changed my life. Made my life so I could tolerate a 16-year-old in my house. So, a career path is all about the different Post-it notes. What do you need to do? Different levels of performance. Now, it's not complicated. You'll see, I'll go over it right now. What do you have to do to get to these different levels? It's really quite simple. But the first phase is associate. The second phase is director. There's 3 titles here. And the third phase is that of executive. Now you say, wow, that's a whole lot of titles. Let's make it really simple. Let's just have 3 titles. Then we'd have to jump over the Grand Canyon to get to the next one. And how many people would be willing to do that? Well, we have found another thing in our research on plans at work. Baby steps. Baby steps work really, really well. 2 years ago, Melaleuca, now $1.3 billion a year, they added 5 titles to their compensation plan. They inserted titles between other titles and just recalibrated a little bit to make baby steps. This is a 30-year-old company. It works. So more titles are better than fewer titles. I get it that, okay, there's more to remember, but honestly, none of you should ever expect to memorize the compensation plan. You'll always have a helper, the crutch. You'll have little printouts, you'll have a little flip chart. Okay, so let's talk about how it starts. Really simple. First baby step. An associate, all they have to do to earn a little bit of money. There's not a lot here, but you can earn on your own customers. This is pretty easy. Go have a customer. Dan, but what about group volume and teams? No, go get a customer. This is the baby step. This is the tenderfoot merit badge of being a Boy Scout. Just go get a customer. So to be active, you need 1 personal sales volume point. That's 1 child-saving product, which is worth how much? $20. Now, you could buy that yourself, or a customer could buy that, and you are an active associate. You don't even need a customer. You can be your own customer. Simple. So it's very easy, very simple. I would note that legally, we cannot require a member to buy anything. If we did, the regulators would likely shut us down. Can't do that. So the volume requirements, the personal volume requirements, must be achievable by getting customers. It's really simple. Now, it's not to say that we do want our members, our distributors, to be customers of themselves, to be buying. Of course we do. So the volume requirements you're going to see, which are not too big, are partly, can be partly achieved through personal purchase, but none of them can be achieved entirely through personal purchase. Again, we're trying to be squeaky clean legally. Why? Because this has to be sustainable. We do not ever want to see a web page come up and say, we are so sorry, we apologize to our sales force, we have to close our business because of legal concerns. We never want to be there, ever. That would be my worst nightmare, it's Duncan's worst nightmare, it's all of our worst nightmare. And we're not going to have that risk. So we stay away from that one as far as we can get. Okay. The first real advancement step is this one, managing associate. Really simple. You have 6 points, that's 6 child-saving products, and an active leg. Well, what's a leg? Let's go on here, I'll go back. A leg is really simple. A leg is a personal recruit, but it includes everybody below them, infinitely deep. Doesn't stop at 3 levels. You could have somebody 100 levels deep and they're still in that leg. If I have 5 personal recruits, how many legs do I have? 5, that's it. Simple. Can you explain that on a napkin? I could. Easy. So 5 legs, 5 recruits, 5 legs. Well, this one only needs 1. Now, notice in this visual, if this is you, and you have 1 leg, this first person here, they have a member and a member. So they have 2 legs, right? This leg here has a member and a member. They have 2 legs. And we're going to assume that those 2 are active. We'll assume this one here isn't. We'll assume that one is. How many active legs do you have? That's right. That was a trick question. So you have 1 because it's only 1 recruit. 1 recruit cannot make 3 legs magically for you. That would be a Houdini trick, and we don't do that. So 1 recruit equals 1 leg. An active leg is simply somebody anywhere in that leg is active with 1 point or more. Now, would you stop working with that leg once they have 1 point? Of course not. You'll see we go up to having a requirement of 4 active legs eventually. Would you stop at 4? Of course not. Because if you do, your weakest leg sometimes isn't going to qualify. And then that would cost you. So you always overbuild. If you need 4, go for 6, 7, 8. You know, it's simple. And they're not hard to get. So there's an active leg. So back to this managing associate. 1 active leg, and you have, of course, you're active. But you have 6 PSV. Now, here's a couple of rules. Here's one rule. The rule says that no more than 30% of your monthly PSV requirement can come from your personal purchases. You can't buy all those 6 yourself. There has to be a customer. This is not what the attorneys call a pay-to-play opportunity. Those are attacked. So you have to find customers. So this person here might have 1 customer, for example, buying 4, and they are buying 2. That works, right? Because 33% of that is 2, and that meets the 30%. That would work. Okay, so 1 active leg. Now, remember, on your customers' purchases, you can earn 10 or 12 or 15%. And we're starting this person with a 4% commission on their personal recruits volume. What does that mean? The personal recruit includes their purchases and any customers that they have. A customer, very important point, a customer is not a level. They're like on the side. They're like a level 0. So if this member had, say, 10 points, 10 times 20 is 200. If this was you, which is the first step in the career path really, you would earn 4% on the 200. 4% of 200 is $8. So you can go to Starbucks. Not a lot. Don't expect a lot of money when you have one member. But remember, if you've got 3 or 5 or 10 customers, that's where you're earning money there, right? So this person is going to earn most of their money based upon customer sales, not overrides on their team. But they get it from both. But most of their money we'd expect coming from customers. Questions? Frank.
Dan, just a little attorney question. The customer that buys 10 individually, would that count toward the ratio, or do they just count as one, or do we get to count all 10?
You count all 10.
Yay.
Yay is right. Exactly right. Now, the units that you buy yourself are part of the commission you get here. So you're going to get the same, it's like a discount in a sense. You're going to get the same commission on your personal sales that you do on a customer's sales. So it makes no sense for somebody to try to game the system and sign up their turtle and put all the sales through the turtle. It makes no sense to do that. So whatever you buy yourself, you're going to get as part of your personal, your customer commissions. Okay. Senior associate, the next step. This is another baby step. In this case, notice the personal sales volume goes up to 10 points with 2 active legs. Is that complicated? Notice it's the same thing as the previous one, but just a little bit more. 2 active legs. Okay. Let's go to the third one. The executive associate. The goal should be to get the new recruit to executive associate by the end of their 3rd month. Some will do it by the end of their 3rd day. Some by the end of their 3rd week. But we want to get as many people as possible to this level in the career path by the end of their 3rd month. So this should be a training goal for you and your team. Executive associate in 3 months. 16 PSV, 3 active legs, and a new concept here. 50 organizational sales volume points. The points are the same, 1 child-saving product. So there's 50 child-saving products being purchased in the entire organization. The fine print here defines that. Organizational sales volume includes your PSV and the PSV from each of your active legs. Technically, it's from everyone. It's from everyone below you, with you. Your customers, you yourself, and everyone below you. But there is a rule here. This 50 OSV, excuse me, this 50 OSV, at every title, no more than 50% of your OSV requirement can be generated from your own PSV. I mean, you can't go out and buy it. That would also be a problem for regulators. Not good. Or any one leg. So you can't create a fence post organization and qualify to be a grand poobah in the career path based on that. You've got to go out and show multiple people. You've got to balance width and depth. Exactly. Exactly, Dee Dee. So in this case, you've got 3 active legs. You've got maybe 1 strong leg. The strongest leg could contribute no more than 25 points toward your requirement. Now, does that mean you're not paid? Let's suppose they had 100 points. Am I not paid on them? Of course you are. But to qualify, we're not going to count more than 25. Half of the 50 to qualify. Okay? Does that make sense? Why do you think we do that? What do you think? Jake, why?
Keep a
strong core.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, when amateurs design compensation plans, they design them for the happy day scenario. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, the breeze is blowing, a nice summer wind. Everything is nice. But when the storm clouds come, those plans collapse. In most cases, a factor that leads to their collapse is because people have manipulated the compensation plan by creating one strong leg where one strong recruiter is placing people below each other and so forth. A bunch of people are benefiting by the efforts of one. It collapses. Can't do that. What we've got to do is build a team in a way that works well. Ever sat on a chair with one leg? Doesn't work so well, does it? I'd even propose a chair with two legs doesn't work so well. But with 3 or 4, now we're talking. Same thing here. Questions on this? Okay. You get 8% commission on your level 1 and 3% on your level 2 at this title. Okay, moving on. Now, so the organization simply includes you and everybody below you. It adds up all of the volume, customers, personal purchases by members, everything. And that's your organizational volume. Okay. Now, let's talk about the impact bonus. The impact bonus is a bonus where you earn an extra 5% on the first 90-day sales of every new associate in the first 3 levels of your organization. So that means if I sign up Millie, and Millie signs up Jason, thank you, and they're both in their first 90 days, I'm making an extra 5% on whatever volume they're generating. That stops on day 91. Now, I don't make that 5% instead of something else. I make it in addition to everything I normally would make. No takeaways here. So, for the first 90 days. So what will that make me do, Millie?
That will make you work with them.
Yeah, makes me work with them. I'm all over this. I say, Millie, you know, let's work together on this. Let's go find some customers. I'll show you what you need to say. I'll help you do it. I won't do it for her. Another lesson I learned from my wife, at the age of 12, our kids would be introduced to the washing machine and the dryer. And you get the story. If you don't want to stink when you go to school, you're going to get to know the washing machine and the dryer, because I'm not doing your laundry anymore. How cool is that? When my son Brian went off to college eventually, he was teaching his roommates how to do their laundry because their mothers hadn't figured that out yet. My wife did it. I know. She's amazing. It's amazing that she still keeps me. We just celebrated our 40th anniversary last August. She's a very patient woman. Okay. So the impact bonus will pay you 5% on your first level, your personal recruits, no matter how many you have, during how long? 90 days. When they recruit some people, it pays you 5% on them. And of course, they get 5% too. Right? For how long? And when they recruit some people, you get paid on them too for 90 days. Pretty simple. So it's kind of like a plan within a plan, but it's paid on new recruits. Impact bonus. Why do you think they call it the impact bonus? Jake, why do you think?
To make a big impact.
That's brilliant. The sponsor makes a big impact with the recruit. Yeah, that's it. Right there. Okay. Now, let's go on to the next phase of the career path, the director. There are 3 titles in the director phase. There's director, managing director, and senior director. Let's talk about these. The director needs 20 points, 20 child-saving products personally. That would likely mean, remember the 30% rule? So no more than how many would count from a personal purchase? What? 6. I could buy 10, that's okay, but only 6 of them will count toward my required 20. I still get paid on them, still get my 10%, but only 6 of them will count toward my 20. Okay, 4 active legs, and these will never change as we move up the career path. It's always 20 and it's always 4 going from here. So there's never some time when you need 20 active legs or some crazy number. No. But what will change is the organizational sales volume. That will continue to move up step by step as we get up to the top of the career path. That makes sense. So the director is very simple. 20 PSV, 4 active legs, 100 OSV. That's it. Remember the 50% rule. So what would be the maximum of the OSV that I could count for my strongest leg? There you go. That's not hard, is it? Nope. Okay. The managing director is the second director rank. Notice those two stay the same, but we go from 100 to 200 OSV. Pretty simple. And then the next rank is senior director with 400 OSV. The last one was 200, now we go to 400. Now 400 OSV times 20 is how much money? 8,000. So there's $8,000 of volume in the entire organization. How deep does that go? Infinitely deep. Does it include your personal volume? Yes. With limits, yes. And if you had more than 200 OSV, they wouldn't count. But you probably wouldn't have more than 200 OSV personally. So that's it. It's as easy as that. Now, I want to talk for a moment about senior director. How many of you have kids? Anybody have kids on a soccer team or a baseball team? No? Yes? Grandkids, okay. Do you have baseball? How old's your child?
10 and 20 and different ages.
They're all over the place. So the 10-year-old's on a little league maybe? Baseball. What's his name? Corey. Good for Corey. I was in little league too. I loved it. So Corey's got a coach. What's the coach's name? Ronnie. For Ronnie to succeed as a coach, what does he do? Hit the ball. They have to learn how to catch the ball. Yeah, throw the ball. Run. Got to learn the order of the bases. You don't go to third base first, you go to first base first, right? It takes a while to figure that out for some of them. I played all the positions. I was shortstop, I was pitcher, I was catcher. I played first base, second base, third base. I played outfield. I loved all the positions. I learned that every position had its own little skill set. My coach taught me that. What I had to learn as a pitcher was very different than what I had to learn as a catcher. I learned my hand hurt as a catcher after a while. This one pitcher had an amazing arm, and my hand here was about twice as big as that hand at the end of the game. It was not fun. Anyway, the coach is in charge of teaching the skills to Corey and all the other teammates. Why? So they can win the game. So he becomes, here's that word again, competent, which means sustainable. Because if every time Corey got up the bat, the coach came out, if Ronnie came out and said, Corey, step aside, I'm going to hit the ball for you. What would Corey learn? Nothing. In the same way in direct selling. You don't need to recruit, I'll recruit for you. I'll just place people right under you. And what do they learn? Nothing. It's not sustainable. Don't be their mommy. Be a coach. And that's sustainable. Make sense? This is the coach. The other people below this are wannabe coaches. At this level, this is a very important role. This is a person who says, it's my team. They look up to me as their team leader. I organize the conference calls with my team. I organize training. I organize recognition. So that when Greg does something noteworthy, we recognize that as a team. And I'm in charge of that. Is there ever any drama in this business? No, never. I take the drama. Here's my shoulder. It'll be okay. You'll get through this. Get out of your fetal position. I'll help you. That's what this role is. They're the coach. They're like a parent of a family, a good parent. They are all about not enabling weakness, but empowering strength. That's what their role is. So every role, every title that leads up to senior director is a preparatory role for this. Because, here's the key, the more of these we get, the more leaders we're going to see. And that's where the hockey stick growth will take this company up. It will not be by having 100,000 managing associates and that's it. It's going to be by having 1,000 teams or 3,000 teams or whatever it takes, organized under leadership. That's what takes a company up. That's what took Sensi up. Year 4, they figured this out. Before then, they did almost nothing. But at year 4, they figured this out, and they've got, what, close to 200,000 people now, I think? That's what makes the difference. So the senior director is a very important role. 400 OSV. Okay, what do we get? When we get to senior director, we get a thank you, a check for $500. You like that? So, if Amber was in my team, and I'm the senior director, and she is moving up the career path, she's a rising star, I'm going to say, Amber, I'm so excited for you. What would you do with $500? What would you do?
That's a big shopping spree.
Yeah.
She'd give it to Jake.
No.
I would enjoy the shopping spree.
Yes. So the $500 bonus is meaningful money for a person as a thank you for working hard and getting up to the senior director. But guess what? There's a matching bonus that's going to come to me. I'll get $500 too, which Beverly would love. So we pay 2 people that. So in this example, this senior director here helps someone else become a senior director. A $500 bonus is paid to them, and a $500 bonus is paid to them. Okay? I think that's cool. Another director's created. And another 500 matching bonus goes to that person. So they got 500 when they got to senior director. They got 500 when this person gets to senior director. They got another 500 when that person gets to senior director. So you make 2 senior directors, that's $1,500. Now in that case, this person gets 500, the matching goes here. It does not go to here. Why? Because they are a senior director. It only goes to the first senior director or higher. So you can be the Grand Poobah senior director and still get it. That works. Okay. Mission bonus. Now, we talked about how you can make up to 10% on level 1, up to 6% level 2, up to 4% level 3. Well, that's there. But the mission bonus gives you an extra 2% on level 1, 2, and 3. When what? When you have 400 points in organizational sales volume in your first 3 levels. This is a reward for not making a fence post organization, but for building a strong width with a reasonable depth. You're working with people, you're mentoring them, you've got 400 points within 3 levels. We're going to increase your overrides on level 1, 2, and 3 from 10, 6, 4. It now goes to 12, 8, 6. So it's plus 2%. As long as your OSV is 400 within the first 3 levels. Questions? Okay. Is that simple so far? All right. Now let's talk about the third phase of the career path, executives. We have 4 titles, 4 leadership titles here: executive, managing executive, senior executive, and global executive. The qualifications remain the same still at 20 PSV and 4 active legs. 800 OSV. 800 OSV. An executive or above you, as executive or above, you begin to earn additional generation commissions on the teams that develop below you. We need 1 senior director leg, which you're going to have anyway as you move up this career path. Okay. Next one, 1600 OSV. We need 2 senior director legs. Now what does that mean? It simply means that I have 2 legs where somewhere, anywhere in that leg, somebody is qualified as a senior director or higher. Or higher always works. Pretty simple. The senior executive, second to the top, has 3,500 OSV with 4 senior director legs. And the global executive has 10,000 OSV. How much would that be in dollars? 200,000. With 2 SD legs and 2 executive legs. So we've developed 4 leader legs in essence. It won't go more than that. Now there's a new requirement here of a new first generation senior director every 12 months. This is an important requirement. First, it is not a requirement to advance to this title. You don't have to have a new senior director in the last 12 months to achieve this title. What you need to do, though, is 12 months after you achieve it, the computer is going to look back 12 months and say, did Jake create a new senior director from his personal team, not under someone else's team? And I'm not talking first level. I'm talking anywhere in your personal team where there's no other senior director. So there's the first senior director below you, somewhere, anywhere. Have you created one of those in the last 12 months? If the answer is yes, the computer will continue to qualify him as a global executive, assuming he meets the other requirements also. So it's a maintenance requirement, not an advancement requirement. Why would we do something like that? I would note, first of all, you wouldn't explain this to a brand new recruit. We'll talk about that more, how you teach the plan, not right now, but another time. You would never hose them down with a fire hose. But as you talk to a leader and train them, this is an important point. If you are a top-notch leader, what you don't want is a bunch of leaders below you doing nothing, right? This is like running a child care with 50 kids in it and you're the only adult. You need lots of helpers. You need other leaders that are generating volume, that are working with their teams, other senior directors and above. So what we don't want to see, you don't want to see, is a leader below you who checks out and simply wants to collect a mailbox check for doing nothing. Now, I'm not suggesting that this leader needs to work 40 hours a week. Heavens no. My daughter Esther, with 5,000 people in her Sensi business, works less than 10 hours a week. She's a top leader. She makes several thousands of dollars a month. That works. She could choose to spend more time on her business and grow it more, but she chooses not to for a variety of reasons. So what we expect of a global executive is to set the pace, be the example, continue building. So what happens if Jake, the global executive, doesn't make a new first-generation senior director in the last 12 months? he's going to get paid as a senior executive. And the difference isn't giant, but there is a difference. So he'll lose some money. He's leaving money on the table. But that's a choice that he could make if he chooses to. Okay? So nobody's chopping him off at the knees. Okay, so now I want to introduce how we're paying leaders. We talked about the organization, which includes everybody in the blue circle. A concept of a team includes you and all the members below you, and here's the key, down to but not including the first senior director. So the concept of a team, remember what I talked about, the senior director is like Ronnie the coach? Ronnie the coach is not grabbing kids from other teams and saying, I'm going to show you how to hit the ball. That's their coach's job, right? Should be. It's the same way here. So the senior director has a little team, and there's another senior director down here. That's another team, right? Now, everybody in that senior director's team isn't listed there because of space, but it's another senior director team. So I have my team here. They have their team, right? That concept is how we work what we call the generation commissions. So in a generation, here we have an executive, which is higher than a senior director, right? It's a leadership. They have a senior director here. So what happens is that executive is going to get a bonus on those senior director teams. It's a percentage paid on the entire team's volume. How deep does it go? Infinitely deep down to the next senior director. And eventually, like when this senior director develops another senior director, that's a generation 2. And when that senior director creates another senior director, that's a generation 3. And so forth and so on. So the executive at the top is going to get paid a percentage in all those teams, in addition to everything else. So this is it right here. So as an executive, you get 3% on your first generation teams. As a managing executive, you get 3% on generation 1 and generation 2. As a senior executive, 3 generations. As a global executive, 4 generations. Deep. So how many teams might that be? Could be hundreds. Each one generating a huge amount of volume, and you get paid a percentage on that, in addition to your impact bonus on the recruits, level 1, 2, and 3. In addition to your up to 10% level 1, up to 6% level 2, up to 4% level 3. In addition to the mission bonus, which adds another 2% on top of that. In addition to your personal sales commissions, etc. Have you noticed there are no takeaways here? No takeaways. There's no place in the plan where if you do what you should do, you're going to earn less. Dee Dee.
Could you ever go backwards?
Great question. You are paid based upon the level of performance on a month-by-month basis. So let's suppose that as a senior director you need 400 OSV, organizational sales volume. Let's suppose this month I have 450. Next month I have some cancellations and it goes to 390. I would be paid as the previous rank. Do I lose my title? No. My team still knows me as a senior director. And unless I tell them, they will not know that I'm paid as a lesser title. Now my upline leaders, which might be you, you'll know that I'm having a problem. Because I need your help. We want that. We have to make that visible. So in the back office, that will be visible of what the paid as title, or bonus title they call it, is for each person in your downline. But your upline, you'll only know what their highest title is. Now, is it possible that over time, that some people who chronically fail to qualify, some leaders might lose that title? We currently have a policy that simply says, you need to qualify once in a rolling 12-month period to keep your recognition title, and which keeps people in the game. You know, you don't want people walking across stage at convention that haven't done anything in 5 years, right? Everybody kind of wags their finger at them and says, you know, there's a has-been up there. That doesn't work for direct selling companies. For a young company, we don't have that problem. But when we're 10 years old, that could be a serious problem. So we create the right policy that simply says, just qualify once out of a rolling 12 months, and you keep your title. Is that fair? Sure it is. Great question. Other questions?